All right, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Awesome. Today we're going to talk about speech a little bit, about how we should see godly speech and really how we should set the example going forward. I'd like to open it with Ephesians chapter 4, verse 29. Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. So I think we can all kind of see what the public acceptance of speech has kind of changed and is evolving over time, where things that shouldn't be accepted publicly as normal speech is beginning more and more accepted. We're seeing that wildly, especially in the youth today. So I believe my mission that I'm sent here for, at least the main mission, is to reach the men of this world, to teach the way that seems to have been forgotten. As the world continues to turn, it seems as if the qualities of what it means to be a man have been forgotten, lost, or even ignored. As men, we have the responsibility to set the example, to lead, and to teach others. For some people, this might mean your peers. For others, this may mean your wife and your children. Most certainly, our sons. After all, they'll be the ones to grow up and to guide and to teach the next generation. So looking at our children, especially the youth of this nation, they're the ones that's going forth to set the example. They're the ones that keep the ball rolling. And if we fail them, we shouldn't expect for anything to ever change. We should actually expect for things to just continue to get worse. We look at the world in the shape it is today and we complain about how bad things have gotten. What is accepted today, what we see. But yet if we're never influencing our children and the youth in general a different way, then the only way they're ever going to see is what this world is teaching them. So it falls on us to do that. Right? An example from a father's standpoint is I want to be the man that I would want my son to be. So looking at someone outwardly, we get to see the whole thing, whereas kind of looking at ourselves, we miss some things sometimes. We have to do some self-evaluation. I think that's an important thing, especially for the parents here today, looking at our son, kind of getting to see how they act and how they speak and all these things, and start to make ourselves project what we want them to be like. And there's no age limit on being old enough to be an example. The Apostle Paul wrote to his disciple Timothy about this matter in 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 12. Don't let anybody look down on you because you are young, but set an example for the believers in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, and in purity. So evidently, Paul knew that there was going to be an issue with the age of Timothy, maybe with the elders thinking that they're much older, so Timothy couldn't set the example, or maybe they looked down on him because of his young age. Well, that's one thing I tell, like especially my youth. I got some sitting up front here. You're never too young to set the example, right? Maybe even if you're walking around being who you're supposed to be, you're keeping these tenets of what it means to walk around with godly speech. The peers around you, especially the grown-ups, may look at that and say, who am I? This kid that's much younger than I is well advanced more than me, and that might even convince them to start trying to walk that right direction. Now, I take this one to heart, being that I'm still young, but in a position of leadership and put in a place to set an example of conduct. Right, so that one kind of hits me hard because I'm still on the younger end, but yet I'm in the position I am that I'm looked upon. I'm looked at how I go about my day, how I talk, and I'm to set the example. But the point I really get to this is not only where the elders are the ones that set the example, but also the youth. Now, most of you don't have this problem. A little sensitive on the age jab there. Okay, I understand. There are many principles that go along with being a godly man, but today we'll just talk about speech. So, a godly man, right? So, just kind of put this maybe in a funny sense. I like the standard of a man. What do we hold that standard to, right? Like I can remember maybe a little bit younger around my buddies, I'll get hurt or something, and maybe I'll complain, and I'll be a man. I'm like, okay, well, what does that mean? Does being a man mean that I have to have a certain pain threshold in order to meet that standard? And if that's not the case, what is the standard of being a man? Well, who's setting that bar? Well, today we're just going to focus on speech. What does it mean to have godly speech? So Jesus spoke about the seriousness of our words in Matthew chapter 12, verses 34 to 37. You brood of vipers, how can you who are evil say anything good? For the mouth speaks what the heart is full of. A good man brings good things out of the good stored up in him, and an evil man brings evil things out of the evil stored up in him. But I tell you, that everyone will have to give an account on the day of judgment for every empty word they have spoken. For by your words you will be acquitted, and by your words you will be condemned. Kind of look back on that. So what Jesus is saying here is that what comes of our mouth is showing the condition of ourselves, especially our heart. It says, for the mouth speaks what the heart is full of. So a good man brings out good things because good is stored up in him. So we should see good out. But an evil man, which is full of evil things, evil stored up in him, you're going to see evil come out. So you're going to tell the condition of a man by how he speaks, whether he's full of good or whether he's full of evil. Now, another phrase I'd like to pay attention to there is, by your words you will be acquitted, which reminds me of Romans chapter 10, verse 9. If you declare with your mouth Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God has raised him from the dead, you will be saved. Right? That's some good news right there. You hear it every Sunday, the Jesus story. By our words we'll be acquitted, we'll be forgiven, and we have forgiveness through Jesus. So the first topic here of speech is tell the truth. So telling the truth can be one of the hardest things a Christian can do today. Not that it's hard to physically speak the truth, right? We can physically speak, that's the easy part. But communicating that on some of these hard truths are tough. It can put you in awkward situations and uncomfortable situations, right? Some truths are hard, but some truths are seen as if they would ruin a relationship or put a wedge between you and a friend, right? I'm sure we've been in a position before where we really need to tell somebody something we love for their growth or whatever it may be, maybe to even keep them out of trouble, but that truth may come off, or we may be scared that that's going to drive a wedge in that relationship, so we shy away from telling it due to the risk of that separating us. Now, first and foremost, I must say there is a right way and a wrong way to tell the truth. I think we all know that. We can be really harsh with it, or we can be kind of gentle with it and merciful with the truth. Two different ways, and we need to be careful with that when we come off, because if we come off the wrong way, especially with malicious intent with the truth, it can completely ruin relationships, whether it be with peers or maybe even with a wife. I like to look at Colossians chapter 3, verse 9 for this. Do not lie to each other, since you have taken off your old self with its practices. So once we are washed with the blood of Jesus, we are a new creation. We are no longer the lying and deceiving people we were before. We are now a child of God. So rid yourself of the lying. All right, see here. Do not lie to each other, since you have taken off your old self with its practices. Our old self, lying and deceiving, sinful nature, once Jesus paid the price for us and we asked for that gift, He's telling us to get rid of that. There's no longer a need for that. We are a new creation in Christ. So we should get rid of all the lying. So telling the truth always has its burden. So think of your job that you clock in every day. So let's say you work in manufacturing, which I think probably the majority of us do to some extent, whether it be the steel mills or all the other factories around here, which all involve heavy equipment of some sort. Well, let's say you're running a forklift and you hit something with it. You cause property damage. Well, now you have an option. Should I lie and say it wasn't me, or should I fess up to the property damage? Those Christians, the answer should always be fess up every time. You know, that could possibly cost us some time off for suspension, which would also cost us money. But God sees integrity in the decision we have and will be rewarded for it. I think all of us have been in that position. I know I have. I accidentally maybe bumped something, and I look around and, well, nobody saw me do it. And I look around and I know that right here is a dark spot in the camera. So I'm not recorded. Nobody's seen me do it. Maybe it was this way when I got on it. Yeah, I know. It's tempting. It is. You get that time off. You get 3 days off that paycheck. That's a lot of money. They can maybe put you behind on bills, right? But it's the integrity behind the truth that keeps us godly in speech. Again, I see Colossians chapter 3, verse 9, and one verse further to 10. Do not lie to each other, since you have taken off your old self with its practices, and have put on the new self, which is being renewed in knowledge in the image of its Creator. So we just talked about taking off our old self with its practices, right, which would have been lying. Get rid of lying. But rather put on the new self, which is being renewed. We're a new creation now, right? So we should get rid of that. It should be only truth that comes out of our mouths, even in the hard times and uncomfortable times. And the times we fear that maybe it might hurt this relationship, and maybe it does for a short amount of time. But coming back, at least you know that the truth was out, and we don't have any lies getting in between us, because eventually lies come out, and it's usually worse down the line than it is if we would have just fessed up and dealt with it right there. Second subject, build others up. So one thing we should always be doing, regardless if it's with words or actions, is building our brothers up or sisters up, helping them become the best possible person they can become. In doing this, we can inadvertently build ourselves up, being that we are now surrounded by great and honest men. So if we take all the men that surround us, and us that are spiritually mature, start working on these, discipling these people, and we grow all the men around us to mature, spiritually mature men, that means that now we're surrounded by that. So inadvertently, once they grow, we grow ourselves, because now we're surrounded by love and truthful men all the ways around us. So if we don't see any of these, we need to evaluate the topics of our conversation that we're having, right? Find some ways to work Jesus in these conversations. This doesn't mean it always has to be happy and exciting. Sometimes to help someone grow, we need to give them some constructive criticism. Back to the truth. Sometimes the truth is hard. Sometimes it's to grow our peers, we need to tell them some things that maybe they won't take that well, but it's beneficial for their growth. Especially the constructive criticism, right? Sometimes I'm at fault too. Sometimes I'll hear some things that kind of hurts in the beginning, but then I kind of realize that, hey, he's telling the truth. This is for my benefit. I probably need to listen. Maybe even use a compliment sandwich to deliver some criticism. Sometimes it gets uncomfortable, but it is necessary for the growth of the individual. So, for those not familiar with the compliment sandwich, this is what I was always taught, right? We want to get on a happy note. We want to end on a happy note, but somewhere there in the middle, we need to get at what we were getting at. Maybe find two areas that we think this individual is doing good at. Compliment them in the beginning, then slip in there, hey, maybe we need to work on this area a little bit, and then end back on a happy note. But here, you're doing great, and carry on, right? It's going to help that get carried on a little bit. Maybe you take it in a good light, and not have to damage that relationship as much, right? All right, now here's a big one: filthy talk. Like I said earlier, a lot of us work in the manufacturing business, steel mills especially, all of it. So we're kind of surrounded by that, and I think everyone could probably agree on that, hearing it all around us. So personally, I work in the steel industry, and I'm sure it's the same for all manufacturing jobs, but it's full of filthy talk. Whether it be me playing with you, telling awful jokes, or maybe even literally cursing you, right? We familiar with some of that in the workplace? Some off jokes, some language, some cussing that becomes in normal verbiage. It's not even that we're cursing someone, it's just that's how they talk now because they've been around it so much. And that's just how they speak. Now, just for starters, we're clearly commanded to stay away from this in Ephesians chapter 5, verse 4. Nor should there be any obscenity, foolish talk, or coarse joking, which are out of place, but rather thanksgiving. While this command is no secret, nor is it hidden, the problem comes when it is in the workplace and we spend most of our time. So I'm pretty sure everybody here is the same way. Most of our waking hours are going to be spent at the place of our employment. We're going to spend more time there than we're going to spend time at home. We're going to be spending more time with them than a lot of times we spend with our family and our children, just because of the demand. So anytime we're around something continually, one or two things are going to happen. Either one, we become dull to the severity of it, or it becomes a normal and not out of place language anymore. This is a problem because eventually we will take part in it, and then we'll come out at the worst possible time outside of work. Right? So if we're around something continually, let's say you just start this manufacturing job, and you come and you hear language, and it kind of perks your ears up. You're hearing this language that's awful, especially with the curse words continually. Well, now we said this job for weeks, months, let's say we've been there for years. This language is now nothing that perks our ears up. It's everyday language that we're hearing, and we're getting used to it. And if we allow that, it kind of dulls the severity of it to the point where this is just everyday talk now. This is nothing that I hear and kind of cringe about a little bit. And especially if we stay in that long enough, eventually some of that can come out of us if we allow it to. And I got to put in there, especially then you get outside of work, and a bad timing is probably when it's going to come out. So we need to be extremely careful with that, especially in these jobs right here. Like I said, manufacturing is probably one of the worst. Maybe there's some others that I'm not aware of. They're just as bad. But social media as well is a tough one, right? We have TikTok, we have Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat, which all have, whether they be memes or videos or whatever they may be, and others that have nonstop stream of these things. Not to say that they are necessarily bad, but anything good can be used for bad. They make it easy to see things that we might think are funny and send them to our friends and so on and so on. Right, it's kind of easy to get in that groove, right? We see something that maybe I wouldn't send to Kenny, but I'd send it to somebody else. Get in that habit, get to sending whatever it be, videos or memes, right? That's a dangerous habit to get in. I think that's one way maybe we can weed that out. We can start asking ourselves, would I send this to Kenny? If the answer is no, then we probably don't need to be sending it to our friends, do we? Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah. Kenny kind of has a sense of humor too, so that might be a better one. Again, so just like in the workplace, having this constant stream of filth can make us dull to the truth of how destructive these things can be. So let's use them apps for constructive things and continue to learn. So not only can these apps be used for bad things, right? It's just like the internet. Can the internet be used to search up bad things? Oh yeah. But can it also be used to pull up online studies to further our knowledge? Right? It can also be used to engage with people across the world like we live stream here. Yeah, absolutely. Our Facebook live stream allows people that can't make it here today to get to witness this message as well. So they can be used for good things, but we need to be disciplined enough to know what is beneficial and what is not beneficial. Right? That's the big one. Now, gratitude. We should also be expressing gratitude with our speech. Being abundantly grateful and just continually talking someone up on something or about themselves can make someone strive to do the same about others. I have a buddy that I work with that has perfected this. He continually rubs me on the back and never misses an opportunity to either thank me for something I did or to congratulate me on something I accomplished, or even just complimenting in front of others so that others can hear it. And just a great guy overall. So this guy, I met about 2 years ago. My first day I come on the job with the guys, first thing he does, he grabs me, rubs me on the back. How you doing today, man? You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't know, that's kind of... I don't have any friends that just hug and rub on me like that. That's kind of weird, Man, but as we go on, it never stops. It keeps on. Man, how was your day today? Oh, it was good, man. Hey, what about this? I heard this was a project you're working on. How's it going? Oh, it's going good. Awesome, man. Or maybe he'll see something I've done that I've finished, and he'll come back and make the time to come to me and say, hey, man, that looks great. You did a great job. It costs him nothing to do that. Right? And it makes me feel good. It makes me want to go thank others and maybe try to find something of his now. Like, now I need to find something to talk to him about. Well, fast forward to about 3 weeks ago, I took another job. Coincidentally, this same man took this same job that I did, but he went about a month and a half prior. So this whole time that this month and a half gap he's there, all the guys that I'm going to be coming into, he's talking me up. Oh, this guy Tyler, he's coming. Because he called me, I told him I was taking the job. So he said, all right. So this whole time, little did I know, he's talking to all the coworkers. Man, this guy Tyler coming in, man, he's awesome. He's awesome. He's so good. He's so good. And I get there, and now I'm having trouble trying to live up to what he's talked me up to because he's spoken so well of me that now I come in and that's what these guys know me of now. Like, oh man, he said, you're the guy he's been talking about so much. Yeah, I guess so. So now I got to try to be extra good to try to at least come close to what he's talked me up to. But like I said, it didn't cost him anything to do that for me. Nothing at all. He didn't even went out of his way to do it. And that's the things we should be looking at. We should look at our conversations we're having day to day and how much time are we spending just stopping next to a coworker. Hey, man, how you doing today? What do you got going on? Or maybe we see something on Facebook that if we're friends with him, and we see something on there, he accomplished something. So stop. Hey, man, congrats on that, by the way. Just to build him up, which inadvertently will build us up as well. A second one I like to bring up is with my daughter. So my daughter Oakley, which y'all seen this morning, one thing I like to do with her is I'll sit there and call her pretty girl. I'll just repeat it, pretty girl. And she'll sit there and she'll dance and she'll run in circles and her face will just light up. Right? And again, that costs me nothing to do that. But it's building her up the same way with all of us. We should be talking to everybody like that. So that then maybe they can see it like I did and realize, like, man, this guy's talking me up so much. Am I doing this to others? Or am I taking the time to congratulate others on anything, on any accomplishments, or even just asking them, how was your day? Someone could be going through a hard time on the brink of snapping mentally, and just a simple act of kindness could be the one thing that brings them back. It starts a great relationship, and maybe even starts a relationship to the point that they'll listen to us serious enough when we tell them about Jesus, that they will listen. They'll see that love that we give to them and be like, all right, where is this love coming from? Because this isn't normal. He's getting this from somewhere else. and we get the chance to explain to them that we are getting it from somewhere else. We're getting it from Jesus. Now, a lot of you guys, I wouldn't recommend you calling each other pretty girls. I think you may get a physical altercation rather than a good one. So maybe don't use the last example on each other, maybe just the first one. But I figured I'd throw it in there because I'm figuring I'm going to hear it between some of y'all. But as we see above, we see how we should be speaking and responding to God and to those around us. We should also know when and when not to speak. We should be slow to speak, especially in tense situations. Right? Has there been any situations where it's been tense and we've kind of been quick to come off with it and then really had to pay for it or eat our own words? Oh yeah, I know I'm guilty of it a few times. But see, James warned us about this in James chapter 1, verse 19. My dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. Right? Do you think there's some advice there that we probably should have took serious a while ago before some of the situations we put ourselves in? I know me personally, I would have saved myself a lot of heartache if I would have taken that seriously. So everyone's watching us, how we walk, how we talk, and everything else as we do as we work our way through this life. Right? Everybody's watching. Whether we know it or not, somebody's watching us. Especially when we openly admit that we're Christians, right? Especially in the workplace. If we're self-proclaimed Christians, they're going to watch how we go about our day now. They're going to judge us on that because of who we say we are. And depending upon what they see is going to determine how much they listen to us. If we claim to be Christians and walk around work and use this language and especially sending stuff we're not supposed to send to friends, how serious do you think they're going to take us when we go to give them this information about Jesus or tell them about this Jesus that we love that's changed us so much, but yet they don't see any change at all? They're not going to take us serious at all, and we've ruined that opportunity with that person to give them the good news that could save them, to show them this true love that Jesus has and offers to us and all of us freely. Right? Being an example for the world to see you and to mimic. Like I said earlier, there's no age limit on how old you got to be to set this example. We could be, my guys in youth, they could be walking around. They're being watched as well, especially being self-proclaimed Christians. How they walk, and hopefully they walk good enough that their peers see them and they listen to them. But before we can do any of this, right, learning how to speak and go about our day and how to be a godly man is all important, but it means nothing if we do all this, we learn all this without receiving the gift to start with. Because then we die and we're still no better than we were. Yeah, we were kind of nice, but that doesn't help us any good. So we need to also understand how to receive this gift first and then become that disciple so that we can go forward and be this person that we say we're going to be.